Hi, I'm Margaret and I am block host for Quilts for Care Labourers for their December 2025 block of the month. The pattern that I've chosen to use is Delectable Mountains, and I'm doing a little tutorial here just to work through some of the instructions for how to make the block. So let's have a look at what the finished block looks like. So the pattern will provide two blocks which are opposites from each other, mirror images of each other. So we have one where the slope is going upright and one where the slope is coming back down again. The completed blocks will be more rectangular. They are not squares. The edge here is slightly shorter than the edge here because of these additional seams. So as you can see, the colours are more striking when they are a dark against a light. So the colour scheme I have chosen for this is dark green or dark brown against a light green, light beigey tan, or light bluey silvery grey. So here are some suitable fabrics that I've pulled from my stash. So we start with the browns over here. We've got a plain dark brown, we've got a very dark, almost black dark brown, but it is brown. We've got slightly textured brown here. And then we've got a patterned green. It's a tone-on-tone green with a subtle pattern on it. We've got a grunge, a plain, and this one is slightly speckled. And then we have the lights here. We've got again a slightly speckled brown. We've got a tone-on-tone beige, a very lightly patterned bluey silver here. Again, some grunge, some plains, and yeah, but we've got an obvious contrast between the darks and the lights rather than having mediums. So I'm going to choose this light grunge and this speckled dark, and let's make a block. Okay, so I have actually pressed my fabrics. It doesn't really look like it, but I have pressed my fabrics, and I've just got them lined up on my cutting mat. So I have got them right sides together, and I'm going to cut from this 11-inch square. So I'm just going to use my shape cut ruler, and I'm just going to cut that out. I'm going to cut the selvages off and cut an 11-inch square from both of the fabrics, which are right sides together. And here we are, two 11-inch squares which are right sides together, and they are all ready to be marked up to make half square triangles. So we're going to take a long ruler, and we are just going to mark a diagonal line across the center in one direction, and then we're going to make half square triangles by stitching 1/4 of an inch away from the line on each side. So here we are, I have done the stitching down each side, 1/4 of an inch away from the center pencil line, and we are now going to cut down that pencil line and make 2 half square triangles. We're going to fold the fabric back, press the seam to the dark side, and we're just going to press that in place and make sure it's nice and flat. So we have 2 half square triangles now. We just need to trim these down to 10-inch squares. And we're going to do that, I'm going to use my shape cut ruler here. We're going to do that by making sure that the diagonal line on the ruler is lined up exactly on the diagonal seam on the block. And then we're just going to trim to make a 10-inch square. And there we are, 2 nicely trimmed 10-inch half square triangles. Now you'll notice that I have turned them so that they are going in opposite directions. So for this one, the diagonal is going from bottom left to top right, and for this one it's going from top left to bottom right. I can't tell my right and my left apart. So the diagonals are going in opposite directions, and that's quite important for the next stage of the process. So now that we've got our 10-inch blocks, we are going to take one of them and we are going to cut it into 4 2.5-inch wide strips. So we're going to do the strips this way, from top to bottom. And once we've done that with this block, we will repeat that with the other block, which is facing in the opposite direction. But let me trim this one down first. So I do find my shape cut ruler is particularly helpful for this next stage. So it's really important that the diagonal line on your ruler goes directly on the diagonal line of the seam, and it matches up in both of the corners. And then we're going to cut this block into 2.5-inch wide strips from top to bottom, and I'll be back in a second. Okay, so I have put in my cuts, and now we are just going to move the strips and reposition them. So to get the Delectable Mountain design, we take strip number 1 and move it to where strip number 4 is, and put strip number 4 where strip number 1 was. Then we take the 2 center strips and we swap them. So we put strip number 3 to where strip number 2 was, and strip number 2 to where strip number 3 was. And that gives us the descending jagged mountain look, which can be seen in this one that I finished previously. So then we're going to take these strips and we're just going to put them back together. We're going to sew down here, we're going to sew down here, and then we're going to put the 2 sections together by sewing down here. So that is the first block done, and it should finish off at 10 inches tall by 8.5 inches wide, because we've got these extra seams along this way that we didn't reduce the height at all, but we have reduced the width with these extra seams. Then we're just going to take this block to the side, and we're going to move in the other half square triangle that we created. Remember, the diagonal is going in the opposite direction, and we're going to do the same process to this half square triangle as we've just done to the first one. We're going to do to the second one. We're going to line up the ruler, cut it into 2.5 inch strips, move them to the new positions, and then sew them up, and we will have a mirror image from the first block here. Oh, I didn't show you actually. On the back of this block, I have pressed the seams open just to make it a bit easier on these points, because they go in both directions. So just to make the seams lie a bit flatter, I have pressed the seams open. Okay, so let's take this one and start cutting. So we just pop these cuts in. I'm just going to open them up a little bit. We've got the 4 strips. So we take strip number 1 and put it into position number 4. Take the strip that was in position number 4 and put it back into strip number 1. Then we take the center strips and we take strip number 2 and 3 and swap the positions that they are in, and then you have the opposite image with the jagged edges going that way. Then we're just going to sew together strips 1 and 2, strips 3 and 4, and then strips 2 and 3 to complete that block. So there we are, that's the second completed block, and we can see them together. They are mirror images of each other. And that's it. I don't need them, I don't need the blocks sewn together. I just take the 2 individual blocks. If for some reason you haven't remembered to turn them so that they're facing in the opposite direction and you've got 2 identical blocks, that's not the end of the world. I can still use them, although the ideal would be for the 2 mirror image blocks. And then hopefully they can come up with all sorts of interesting patterns and make some lovely quilts for care leavers. Okay, the address details to send them to will be on the written procedures. So I look forward to seeing what you send in. Thank you for helping and for joining along, and I hope this little video was helpful for putting the blocks together. Thank you.